We could just call this a day and go about our lives. How does that sound? Won't we get caught? I'm not exactly popular around here. He laughs. Having had this laugh directed at me just minutes ago, I'm not sure how to take it. Right, you're on the shit list. Let me show you how things work around here. He walks up to a wall-mounted holopad and starts typing around, flicking windows open until he finds what he's looking for. There, see? Imperial Maintenance Kitchen. Our names. That's basically the low-level schedule. Well, if you put your hand on the biometric scanner here, and then click on Edit, you can, you can just remove us from extracurricular my smooth ass. I have to admit that I'm impressed, and that really works. I gotta tell you something you may not have realized yet. The security features are here to protect the Empire from its indesirables. They're not exactly geared to protect it from insiders who might have different inclinations. He turns to me. So what do you say? Are we done here? I consider my options. You know what? I'm not sure what I'm supposed to be learning here, but you said it. I'm not gonna stay here and push a mob around. Right on. He presses a few buttons on the holopad, and a moment later turns back to me. Our work here is done. Let's go. He moves to leave, and I follow. I notice he's still carrying the dishcloth with him, which I do find pretty gross. This should buy us a couple of hours. Nobody will check in on us, because he leans in conspiratorially. They all think they've got better things to do too. We exit the same way we came in, through the mess hall. Darien F-19 is walking a couple of steps ahead of me, and seeing as I personally don't have any destination in mind, I'm tagging along. He notices, stops, and turns around. Listen, friend, I've got places to go, people to be. Let's keep this casual, shall we? Oh. By the time I've processed that I was being dismissed, he has rounded the corner of the hallway and disappeared. It's way too risky. I'm sorry, but I don't think I can spare getting caught right now. I was late to class this morning, and the headmaster was pretty upset with me. If I want to, have a chance to make it through the week unscathed, I'd better put in the work. Alright man, there's no need to justify yourself to me. I honestly don't care much either way. I was just being nice because of our little mishap earlier. He presses a few buttons on the holopad, and a moment later turns back to me. Anyway, have fun maintaining the Empire. He leaves the kitchen, waving a hand casually over his shoulder. I stand alone, right? I take a good look around me. Except for the bit of floor that I've mopped, the place is near identical to the state I found it in. The bucket is full of some very suspicious, vaguely foamy liquid, and half the floor is covered in it. I step on an area that is slightly wet, and it seems to stick to my sole. I gingerly step away. The damage is done, and now I have a sticky boot. What is that thing? I spot a big jug on a counter that's got its cap open and come for a closer look. The text on the side reads, "Sweet and sour fowl sauce." I take a whiff of the contents, and no doubt this is what's inside the bucket. Oh, Darien F-19, what were you trying to do? I open storage compartments at random, looking for something to clean this mess with. Eventually, my eyes land on a jug of similar shape, size, and color. A cursory glance on the back of it reveals that this is indeed all-purpose detergent. With a heavy sigh, I grab the bucket full of goop and look for some place to empty it. I notice the recycling chute, and after a brief shudder, open it with a press and upturn the bucket. The contents spill out sickeningly slowly. I rinse the bucket with water, pour 3 times the amount of detergent the instructions require, grab the mop, and get to work. An hour of excruciating work later, I look around. I'm exhausted, but the place is sparkling. I decide that I'm officially done. I put the cleaning products away and walk out of the kitchen. Maintaining an empire is exhausting. I step out into the hallway and walk around without a particular purpose. All in all, I'm pretty pleased with myself. After a few minutes of aimless wandering, my steps take me back to the concourse. Listen, you can leave if you like, but I need to make sure this is done properly. Through absolutely no fault of my own, I am currently at odds with the headmaster. We gotta do what we gotta do, right? Okay, I didn't expect that answer, to be fair. Fine, have it your way. He presses a few buttons on the hollow pad, and a moment later, turns back to me. I try to follow. He did just call me friend, however, so I'm pretty sure I should at least tentatively try and see where he hangs out. I dash down the hallway in the direction he went. When I get there, however, he is nowhere to be seen. The hallway is straight as a laser shot, well lit. I look around, and the only place he could have gone is, what, through the air vent? I put my head to the vent cover, and I think I can hear a faint sound from inside, but I'm not sure if I'm just imagining the noise. I turn around, dejected, and start walking at random. After a few minutes of aimless wandering, my steps take me back to the concourse. Maybe I'll explore on my own. I decide that, well, if he's got things to do, I'll just have my own fun. I start walking in another direction, aimlessly for sure, as I have no idea where most of these hallways lead. Nonetheless, I try to maintain the arrogant outward attitude of every me. After a few minutes of aimless wandering, my steps take me back to the concourse. It is almost empty compared to the first time I saw it. Still, the murmurs of distant conversation, the echoing footsteps, the light filtering from outside, all of it contributes to giving the place an air of reverence. I try not to gawk as I walk around. The freely growing trees, the fountains and water pieces with running water, all of this contributes to paint a picture of an empire built on a boundless pride. We are, I'm pretty sure, one small mistake away from a tragic accident here. If the glass ceiling were to shatter, boundless arrogance or endless optimism. Probably a little bit of both. I hear footsteps rapidly approaching and startle as if I was caught doing something illegal. Thought crimes. Thankfully, no one can hear what's going on in my head. Can they? I look discreetly over my shoulder and recognize Extras B12, the Master Sergeant guy. He is in an agitated conversation with, I think it was Turgis F07, the lab tech. I hear some of their exchange as they get closer. What do you mean? You don't know where he is? I am his instructor, same as you. I am not here to track brothers at your convenience. If you of all his siblings hadn't kept on piling sanctions on him to build character, he might have been more assiduous in his attendance. Extras B12 comes to an abrupt stop a couple of meters away from me and turns to face Turgis F07, practically shouting in his face. This is important. Well, I'm sorry I can't help you. Not only is this not my expertise, but I've got prior engagements. I don't get it. It's blowing ships up and showing Eternus P02 your worth. He was lucky to be selected for fleet maneuvers in the first place. Who wouldn't jump at that chance? Looks like he wouldn't. Extras B12 stomps off down the hallway. Turgis F07 turns around and in a dignified, rigid posture, he mutters in the general direction of the Master Sergeant. Almost late for my picnic now. Now, where is the greenhouse? Ah, this way. He walks away at a leisurely pace. Fleet maneuvers. That sounds like an advanced class. It could be a way to blow things up, take the pressure off, or a way to try and fit in, show what I'm worth. On the other hand, a picnic. What do I want to do? I could try those fleet maneuvers and show them all what I'm made of. I could blow some things up and have some fun. Picnic does sound fun. Or a greenhouse. I gotta see that. I can't possibly miss an opportunity like that. I take off in the direction the Master Sergeant went. I catch up with him. Hey, Master Sergeant Extras B12. Sir, I couldn't help but overhear that you're short on personnel. I want in. Miguel F21, right? It's true that we are a me short. One of the cadets scheduled to take part in the advanced class has missed the last exercise and is nowhere to be found. If you want to replace him, simply do as you are told in all circumstances. How familiar are you with MK43 armament systems and their controls? Not at all. Oh, that's right.
This model only came out a few years ago. Your memory imprinting dates back from before that, for that matter. So does mine. Most of us are Megres made, Kappa Station decanted. Anyway, it's fine. It is a lot like the rest of the MK40 series. You'll figure it out. He starts walking again, and I follow. Before long, we get to a small door leading to the command deck of a battleship. Extra Speed 12 notices my gaping in awe and chuckles. Impressive, huh? Yes, I suppose you wouldn't have seen a hollow room before. The technology is pretty new. This one here reproduces all manners of spaceship decks for training purposes. It was commissioned roughly a decade ago. After the Invictus Fleet incident, live exercises were deemed too costly by the administration. Officially, this is Hollow Training Room 15 for deckside fleet maneuvers, but we've taken to calling it simply the Battle Bridge. Let's get in. Your classmates are already here. Battle Bridge. Got it. He steps inside, ducking a little to get through the door. A regular-sized frame with a couple of crisscrossing hollow lines tracing the shape of a hatch. It appears wholly unnecessary, but I'm guessing it is a habit from having served on real ships. Just a little. Of course, your imprinting only covers models as far as the MK41, right? I remember having to learn about that stuff too. Well, it's nothing revolutionary. Compared to what you're familiar with, you'll figure it out. He starts walking again, and I follow. I follow suit and duck through the door. I'm not sure why I did that, but maybe it made me look more professional. Master Eternus P02 steps out from behind a huge console. Look what the star tide washed in. Michelel F21. What brings you here? I open my mouth to answer, but the Master Sergeant cuts me short. Grand Headmaster, the cadet offered to replace Darian F19, who is nowhere to be found and hasn't answered any summons. What a disappointment. Yet you believe this one will prove as talented with weapon systems, but more assiduous? Extras B12 looks at me before turning back to face Eternus P02. I have full confidence in any brother from the Megres batch. It sure beats having to man that station myself anyway. Not the resounding endorsement I was hoping for, but it'll do. Make sure he does not do anything stupid. Uh-oh. The Master Sergeant directs me towards a gigantic battle station with a wide seat and a whole array of panels, commands, and knobs. This is your station. Please be seated. The new headrest feels nice, huh? MK43 series have moved controls around a bit, so the weapon systems have shifted somewhat. Point defense guns are now on your left, with laser and beam triggers in the middle. Missiles have been simplified compared to what you know, so it really is point and shoot now, with this stick controller. What's this pedal? This is boarding pod controls. They're not part of the doctrine right now, so you won't need to use them. Too much reticence among the crew to endanger one's face in close quarters battle. They're not even manned. Got it. Any questions? I step through it like a normal door. My head bumps against one of the hollow lines. Pretty hard. Ouch. Extra Speed 12 glances back at me, but does not comment. I'm good. Excellent. Let's get started. He straightens up and turns toward Eternus P02. We're ready to start, sir. Excellent. Load simulation Kobayashi Sofan. Extra Speed 12 gives Eternus P02 a sidelong look. Are you sure they're ready, sir? You heard me. Let's get started. Sit rep. Voices rise from across the room.
communications ready. Damage control ready. Engineering ready. Fleet command ready. Navigation ready. Scan view ready. Security ready. Strike wing ready.
All around me are familiar faces, intent gazes, focused faces. They all seem to know what they're doing. I put on my most convincing game face and grab the controls. Weapon systems ready. I'm not sure how long this has been going on, but what I know is that it hasn't been going well. Our fleet's objective is to intercept and destroy an exploration vessel sent by the Sofan Republic. The objective would be straightforward enough if that vessel weren't followed closely by what feels like the Republic's entire fleet. Most of our own fleet has been disabled or destroyed by what feels like an altogether preposterous amount of firepower. Most of our systems are down, and our strike craft is in complete disarray. My missiles are all but gone, and the energy weapons cannot accumulate enough power for a shot. To put it mildly, we're in trouble. As the instructor now responsible for cadet military training, Extras B12 is visibly under a lot of stress. He is nonetheless trying his hardest to make us fulfill the objectives of the mission. Fleet command, launch a pincer maneuver.
Impossible, sir. Our last Marchio frigate was disabled by their last hit. That's the whole fleet gone. I'm out.
The cadet station turns dark, joining strike wing and engineering.
Sir, our sensors have picked up the activation of a cloaking device on the enemy scout. We've lost our firing solution.
Firing solution, my smooth ass, cadet. Our tubes are empty and our guns are cold. This is a firing problem we're having. He shoots me a grim look. I've been a little trigger happy with the missiles. Sure, I hit my targets, and I can't be faulted for shooting at the opposition. I'm pretty sure I'm the only reason we're still afloat. The lights flicker and a low rumble shakes the room.
That's another direct hit, sir. The shields are down.
Damage control goes dark too. I think the Master Sergeant is about to call it when I have an idea. I've been thinking about it for, well, maybe all of 30 seconds, but I think there's a chance. I switch on the internal communicator. Weapon systems to security. Get your Marines to the boarding pods. Stat. What? There's no time to explain. Send every me who can hold a rifle. Now.
Roger that.
I hear the cadet relay the order and watch on my console as the boarding pods start coming aligned and filling up. Weapon systems to navigation. Plot a course that will allow the direct firing of the pods at the enemy flagships.
Why are you doing that? They're not the target.
We're doomed anyway. Might as well try it. It might fail, but we're already failing. What hurt can it cause? I switch on the internal communicator. I know. Do as you're told. Extra Speed 12 backs me up. Follow his lead. I sure hope you know what you're doing. Look at me. I'm the captain now.
Bearing 335. Weapon systems. Your firing solution is coming up.
I look at my console. I have 6 boarding pods full of Marines too precious to be willing to carry a gun in normal circumstances, and I'm about to fire them straight at the enemy carrier. I smash the launch button, and the boarding pods blast off the side of the ship. I open a line to the Marines inside. Listen up, brothers. It is my understanding that the troops aboard the Sofan flagship are tiny nerds that are full 2 heads shorter than you. They cannot reach the face of even the hunchbacks among your lot, so don't worry about getting them scratched. Heads up high, may his force be with you. I watch anxiously as the pods reach the point defense line of the enemy carrier. A pod explodes in a shower of sparks, then another, but 4 of them get through and smash into the hull. I hear combat chatter on the comms. Marines, head to the bridge. There is no time for caution. Give it all you've got. Go! I listen anxiously for sounds of progression. The cries of dying Marines and wounded Snuglies subside. Weapon systems, this is Marine Leader. We have seized the bridge of the enemy flagship.
and have disabled the doors. We have control of the ship. For now, get a hold of their sensors. Can you locate the cloaked scout on it? It should be clear as day to their own fleet. Aye aye. Yes, we have it on our starboard. It is attempting to escape. Get a lock on it and activate all of the weapons systems you can find. We're not trained to use Sophon ships, sir. Then figure it out. I cut the line and watched the screen above my head with mounting anxiety. After a moment, a single missile leaves the Sophon's torpedo bay and cruises towards empty space. An intense explosion follows. We did it, sir. The lights have turned back on, and all of the stations are lit up again. Extras B12 has a confused smile on his face. We did it! We did it! Takes me a few seconds to remember where I am. This was just an exercise. I'm drenched in sweat nonetheless. Extras B12 comes up to my station, beaming. Congratulations, Mikelo F21. You've beat the Kobayashi Sophon. He leans forward and adds more quietly. In all my years, I have never seen a cadet crew be able to defeat it. It was conceived as a no-win scenario to test our brother's mettle in the face of certain death, or worse, possible disfigurement. He straightens up and concludes. I am very impressed. Eternus P02 appears, seemingly out of thin air. Yes, this was unorthodox, but efficient. Good work. We might make a cadet out of you yet. We're not trying to capture their ship. Extras B12 backs me up. Anything to serve his empire, sir. I am smiling from ear to ear, blush with pride. Yeah. Just showing how it's done. I do my best to appear relaxed despite my racing heartbeat, all in a day's work. As I get up from my station, pretend shrugging the compliments away, I notice that my comrades in arms aren't sharing the ambient glee. I'm guessing that single-handedly pulling off victory from the jaws of defeat doesn't look too good in a dog-eat-dog world. We filter out of the battle bridge, and I saunter back home, exhausted, but all in all, pretty happy with my day. I've never been happier to see my bed. I dive face first into it and instantly fall asleep. A picnic sounds fun. That sounds a little too good to be true. But experiences aboard this station can't possibly all be harrowing, can they? I jog after Turgis F07. He turns his head towards me, but doesn't stop. You look familiar. Can I help you? I overheard you were having a picnic in the greenhouse. I was hoping I might join you. He stops and considers this for a second. He peers at me intently. What did you say your name was? Mikelo F21. First level initiate Megrez. Mikelo F21. F21. I'm third-rate Chamberlain, Megrez, Turgis F07, but among us the honorifics won't be necessary. Yes, you may tag along. Some games are better with 3 players. You are familiar with Horatio, aren't you? What? No. I might need a rules refresher, especially if you are playing with local variants, or if the rules have changed recently. Yes, we are playing with a local variant. It looks like I'll just have to fake my way through this game, just like I do with everything else. Greenhouse picnic. I'm coming. Let's go then. We're already late. He resumes his walk, and I follow. We walk for a good while, past many signs that read greenhouse and point in another direction. I glance at him sideways, but he doesn't seem to worry. Eventually, we get to a quiet area. A sign out of order is placed in front of a door that reads Greenhouse, Access 9. Turgis F07 steps around it
and grabs the handle. With a hiss, the door opens. A wave of hot and humid air hits me, accompanied by strange and fragrant smells. I hear bird calls coming from inside. After you. I step into the greenhouse and into another world. Turgus F-07 steps in and closes the door behind him. On this side, it is barely distinguishable from the thick foliage surrounding us. I look around me in astonishment. Plants, bushes, trees, and vines are everywhere, draping over one another towards a canopy I can barely make out. This place is deeply alien, and yet oddly familiar. It feels like being in my clone birth. Your mouth is open. Be careful you don't accidentally swallow a mosquito. A mosquito? Don't worry. There are no mosquitoes here. Try as we might have though, it was impossible to prevent most insects from cropping up here and there. The larvae were in the saplings and in the pots, you see. Anyway, we also have a wide variety of wildlife, ranging from small amphibians to birds, with more exotic species coming from all over the empire. Those who survive, anyway. This way. Do watch your step. He starts walking through the underbrush. I step after him gingerly, careful not to trample anything or step in anything weird. Do you have any predators in here? He chuckles. No, nothing that would hurt you too much. We are the biggest threat around here. We walk for what feels like a while through the forest. Is that mucky stuff animal dung? He looks at my feet. You don't have any beast around here that would produce anything of this size. Best to be cautious. In any case, we walk for what feels like a while through the forest. Every once in a while, I catch a glimpse of a familiar sight. A support pillar here, or a window pane there. Otherwise, I'm pretty lost. I think we have in all likelihood covered a couple of 100 meters, but I am pretty sure I could never find the exit we came in through ever again. This last thought kind of freaks me out, and I hurry to catch up with Turgus F-07 when he rounds a big tree and suddenly stops. We're there. We have arrived at a small clearing, nestled against a stone ridge. That can't be a real rock. And then I realize that off the ridge drops a waterfall. This place is breathtaking. I start smiling without being able to help myself. Whoa. Yes, I'm quite fond of this place too. Come here. Let's introduce you. I snap out of my reverie. Introductions? Turgus F-07 walks into the clearing, stepping on a patch of grass. Another Horatio is lounging there, laying back next to the water. I recognize him immediately. Niccolo F-21. Allow me to introduce you to Darian F-19. I know him. Oh. He sits up a bit and waves at me. Fancy of you to join us. Turgus F-07 sits down cross-legged, and I follow suit, although it takes me a couple of tries to get it right.